आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतीय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु. May my limbs, speech, vital force, eyes, ears, and as also strength in all the organs become well developed. Everything is the Brahman revealed in the Upanishads. May I not deny Brahman. May not Brahman deny me. Let there be no spurning of me by Brahman. Let there be no rejection of the absolute reality by me. May all the virtues that are spoken of in the Upanishads and Scriptures repose in me, who am engaged in the pursuit of the absolute reality, the Self. May they repose in me. Om, peace, peace, peace. Now, in the last few classes, we were discussing some of the essential points of Vedanta. First, the Upanishad says that everything that we experience in the waking, dream, and deep sleep states is one reality. Atman, Self, Brahman, Turiya, such terms are used. These are different terms which denote the same reality which cannot be denoted by any word. So these are all words used by the Upanishads to describe the absolute reality which actually is beyond description. Now in the Upanishads there is a special approach which we must keep in mind now. It is called Adhyaropa Apavada Prakriya. A particular method, approach employed to analyze metaphysically the absolute reality. It's a highly acclaimed, a celebrated approach. Now let's take the Upanishads, the first few mantras that we dealt with. In the beginning, the Upanishad said, Sarvam hi etat Brahma. Everything is Brahman. Omiti devaksharam sarvam. So everything that we experience, trikala adhinam, trikala atidam, that which is within the time, space and causation, that which is within the sphere of our empirical experience, that we experience in waking state, in dream and also deep sleep states, within time, space and causation. That is absolute Brahman, that is the supreme reality. And what lies beyond the time, space and causation, beyond the empirical, that also is Brahman. After all, you cannot have anything more. That which is within time, space and causation, and that which is beyond time, space and causation. All these constitute the supreme reality. The second mantra, the Upanishad teaches that reality which is within time, space and causation, and which is beyond time, space and causation, and which includes all that we can see, hear, smell, touch, think of, or contemplate on. The reality which is the source of the creation, which sustains the creation, and which again is the point of dissolution of the universe. Just like clay from which a pot is made. Before the pot was made, it was clay, and after the pot is broken, it will be clay. Then there is no doubt that when the pot is sitting in front of you with the name and form of pot, that is also clay. The second mantra, the Upanishad said, that reality is within you. Everything that we experience outside the source of the universe is one reality. And that reality, I am Atma Brahma, the great statement of this Upanishad. I am this Atma, that is Brahman. Within you, all that we see in this world, in all these beings, there is an indweller, what's called Antaryami, the indweller, the one which dwells within. That is the same Brahman. Now, one may very well ask the question, why can't the Upanishad make a straightforward statement? There is only one reality, that is Brahman. Then there is no need of any contemplation. So perhaps there is no need of so many Upanishads, so many scriptures. One reality is one, that's enough. But people won't understand it. And that sentence won't make any sense to anybody. You know the reason? Because we all people generally who live in this world, who experience this world, of which they are all parts, are fully convinced that reality is more than one. And they are also convinced that all that they see and experience, this world of plurality, this experience of plurality, is real. And when you tell them that these things which we experience and see and live in, they only constitute one reality. Actually, they are only one reality. Nobody will understand. So the Upanishads have to come down to the level of the common man, which we include all of us, of course, and explain to them, see, look at the world that you see and experience. In the beginning, we think that one entity, call it God or anybody, the supreme intelligence or anything, he created this world. And this world and its creator are two different things. This is the most commonplace understanding of philosophy. And they believe that this world of plurality alone is real. If you talk about one reality which is immanent and transcendent and omnipresent, people won't understand. So the Upanishads have to come down to the level of the common man and talk to them. Well, you are right, the world is pluralistic, manifold. But you look at the world that you see. A common man, you ask him, he would say that dream experience is different from waking experience and it's entirely different from deep sleep experience. This is what anybody will understand. This is the common sense experience of people who don't take much interest in philosophy. So the Upanishads have to come down to their level and take them and lift them slowly, stage by stage, to the nearest level of philosophical contemplation. So first the Upanishad tells us, well, world is manifold, it is pluralistic, all these things are different entities. But then you try to understand the so-called pluralistic, manifold world. And then the Upanishad tells us, well, when you understand it, you feel actually it is only one reality. In other Upanishads, the approach is this approach is slightly different. The Taittiriya Upanishad, as I quoted earlier, and many other Upanishads will tell you that reality wanted to create this world. Let me become many, and it became many. So the reality of God, whomever you may call it, maybe personal God, let us take for argument's sake, a personal God, Saka akamayeda bhukusyam prajayeti satapo atapyada sadabas taptva idam sarvam asrajada. Taittiriya Upanishad says, God wanted, let me become many. So he himself became many. It's just like a pot maker says, well, let me become a pot. It doesn't happen in a empirical world. But if it happens, then you have to admit that the efficient cause and material cause are the same. So here, the Taittiriya Upanishad tells us, he willed, let me become many, and he became many, and then he entered the world which he created, the many things which he created. And after entering these things, he became one with it. God created this world. He himself became this world rather. He didn't create, he himself became this world. And then he entered this world and he became one with this world, which means the world really doesn't exist independent of its creator. Creation and creator are one. Now this is the approach in Taittiriya. But here, the approach is based on our experiences of the three states of waking, dream and deep sleep state. So, first, in the last mantra we already explained that in waking state we have 19 doors, now 19 instruments with which we interact with the external world in waking states. The 5 senses of perception, 5 senses of action, then 5 elements, and then mana, buddhi, chitta and ahankara. Mind, intellect, the storehouse of impressions, that is chitta, and the consciousness, I, the sense of agentship or doership. These constitute 19 ekona vimshati mukha. The reality, the absolute reality which experiences the external objects in waking state has got 19 doors or mouths with which it experiences or interacts with the external world in waking state. And also 7 then saptanga, 7 limbs, head, eyes, face, middle part of the body, then bladder, feet. In this way, it has got 7 limbs. These 7 limbs and 19 parts with which it interacts with the external world. And here, the reality is called Vishwa. And as the individual experience is called Vishwa, totality of individual experiences is called Vaishwanara or Virat. That means the totality of all the experiences in waking state of all living beings together is called Virat. Virat means this visible world, this empirical world, the phenomenal world that we experience in waking states. And this is called the cosmic level, maybe macro level. At the micro level, at the individual level, the experiencer is called Vishwa in the technical language of this Upanishad. Now, then in dream state, the individual experiencer is called Taijasaha. Taijasaha, I mean, there is a special significance with that sense. We are going to deal with that. See, in dream state, the only instrument with which we experience dream objects is our own mind, because all the impressions we gather in waking state are stored up, and because of avidya, kama and karma, these impressions are projected to the surface, and then we experience these objects in dream state. Here I should explain avidya, kama and karma. The Upanishads will later explain this, not this stage but this stage, next stage. Avidya, kama and karma. These 3 factors are responsible for all external experiences, not only in dream state but also in waking state experience. See, avidya means ignorance, kama means desire, karma means action. Now, the Upanishad tells us, because of avidya, kama and karma, we store the impressions of waking state in chitta, and in dream, these impressions take the form of visible experiences. Avidya means ignorance. Ignorance means, we can say, absence of knowledge. What knowledge? The knowledge that we are Atman, the self, without a second, which is not an experiencer of these empirical experiences, but one reality, the supreme witness, which never experiences anything, and which is the same in waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state. This is the knowledge. Absence of this knowledge is called avidya. Now, when we are ignorant of our own real nature, we will have desire. All desires are rooted in ignorance of our true nature. If we become aware of our true nature, we will have no desire. And if we have no desire, we will have no grief. And if there is no desire, there will be no greed also, no attachment. So all attachments, see everything, that's it. In modern industrial world, we can very easily see. Desire is at the root of all the problems. There is not a single problem that a modern industrialized, urbanized world is facing which is not caused by desire. A rich man wants to become more rich, a powerful man wants to become more powerful, and it goes on. In the Mahabharata it says, if the fire of desire is blazing, you can't put out the fire by pouring more and more ghee. The fire will become all the more blazing, it becomes all the more uncontrollable. So the more we try to achieve things, acquire things, enjoy things, the more desire for enjoyments increase. This is at the root of all the problems that the modern man is facing today. Sri Ramakrishna puts this in his own unique style in the gospel. Right now, we will go to that. Why? We have all this desire because we think we are the one who is going to enjoy these things, and we are the one who is going to become happy by enjoying these things, because we think we are just a bundle of mind, body, and senses, psychophysical mechanism. So we want many things, we want to enjoy. And as a result of this desire, we get engaged in different activities, karma. So avidya, absence of our real nature, that leads to desire for enjoyments, and desire for enjoyments, the greed compels us to be engaged in all kinds of activities which create competition, psychological problems of anxiety, neurosis, and so on. I won't go list them one after another, no need. Now the Upanishad tells us, if you get yourself engaged in any action, if you do anything with a desire, that action will register in your mind. It's called chittam. Here in chittam, perhaps we cannot have a proper translation into English. Chittam, if you try to understand, chittam is that part of our mental mechanism where we store impressions of past actions. A storehouse of impressions. That's what chittam is. So, whatever we do with desire And desire will create a kind of attachment and identification. I am the one who is doing these things, and I am the one who is going to enjoy the results of my actions. So agentship and also enjoyership. Kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam in Sanskrit is called. The feeling that I am the one who is doing this work, and therefore I am the one who is going to enjoy the results of this work. This is invariable when you do anything with desire, any action for that matter. Now whatever we do with desire and identification, that I am doing this, I want to enjoy this, it will create an impression in chittam. And then what happens? If it is an unpleasant, if the result of our action is unpleasant, we try to avoid it in future. If the result is pleasant, we would like to repeat it even if it is not necessary. So that's called in Sanskrit we call raga and dvesha. Attachment means the desire to repeat action which brings pleasant results, happy results, and to avoid it if it brings unhappy results. Now what happens? Whatever we do in waking state with a strong sense of identification, guided and controlled and prompted by desire, will leave its impression in mind, in chittam. I would use the word mind here because chittam is a technical term which everyone may not be familiar with. And then what happens? Sometime in future, we will have a tendency to do similar action. And similarly, in dream, we may repeat, relive, and re-experience this action. Why? Because impression is created in the reservoir of impressions, the storehouse of impressions, that is called chittam, mind as they call it. In the storehouse of impressions, our action has already created, has left an impression, and that will come to the surface in dream. If you do things without any sense of attachment, without any sense of identification that we are doing it, then it will not leave any impression. See, if suppose you are walking through San Francisco streets, on the way you may see trees, human beings, cars, vehicles parked, maybe passing through the streets. You don't notice them. So they don't leave any particular impression in your mind. Your eyes are watching them, but your mind is not there. And you don't, you may, or if you are walking through a village road, you may see pebbles, stones, leaves, grass, and so on. They won't leave any impression in our mind. But suppose a snake or a dog chases you, God forbid it ever happens. But suppose it ever happens, and you run, and unfortunately something happens to you, an accident, you may break your neck. I don't say it will ever happen. Suppose it happens. Then you will not forget it, because that experience has left an impression in your chittam. And that night you may again re-experience the same. You may be running and the dog chasing, and you something happening to your body. It can happen after 10 years. It can happen after 20 years. Why? Because the action has left its impression in mind. So you may relive that impression. You need not go to sleep for that. Even when you close your eyes, it can happen. But in dream, it happens with special force. When I was taking this class, some time back, somebody raised a question. He said that he sometimes gets some dreams which can never be related to any of his waking state experiences in this life. Well, Vedanta will tell you it may be related to some of his experiences in previous life. That's Vedanta tells you. We have, in our character, there are certain things that we can't help doing in a special way, in a particular way. But in Sanskrit it is called Anusruta Swabhava, means inherited, not acquired, but inherited, inexplicable characteristics which we can't explain in terms of our experiences in this life. It can happen. So, Vedanta will tell you those experiences may be related to your previous life. If you read works of Edgar Cayce and other parapsychologists, they explain this very elaborately. All of them, all those explanations may not be taken seriously, but there is a lot of truth in what those parapsychologists try to describe. Now, main difference is this. Whatever we experience in this life, which has left its impression in our mind, when we re-experience in dream, we experience it with name and form. Whatever is related to in this life, when we re-experience in dream, we experience it with name and form. If you had seen a strange animal 10 years back, and when you see that same animal, the name of the animal, if it has got a name, and its form also will be visible. But if it is related to previous life, name and form will not be visible. They will come in the form of abstract ideas without name and form. Because names and forms were experienced by Panchajnanendriyas, mind, etc. Those belong to previous life. They have vanished. But this chittam, it is called antakarana. Antakarana has got 4 components: mana, buddhi, chitta and ahankara. Chittam stores all these impressions. Like a bundle, it continues to be handed over from generation to generation till that jiva, that individual realizes that I am not antakarana, I am not chittam, I am not buddhi, I am not any of these things, I am the Atman. The moment he realizes this truth, he gets out of this cycle, he breaks the chains and becomes a liberated soul. Now we'll come to the Upanishad. This point should be understood. Now one more point to be explained. Now Upanishad tells us the same Turiya is a witness, is the experiencer in waking state at Vishwa, and it is the experiencer in dream state as Taijasa, and the totality of dream experiences, the macro form, is called Hiranyagarbha in the language of this Upanishad. So the totality of waking state experiences is called Virar. Virar means this gross, visible, external, empirical phenomenal world. Hiranyagarbha is nothing but its subtle form. Its subtle form. Because in dream everything is subtle. Now, in Sushupti state also, as I said earlier, the same witness, the same experiencer continues to exist, and all names and forms vanish in deep sleep state. There is no confusion. There is just one experience which is completely free from all anxieties, all worries, all frictions, all pluralities. So there is an experience of bliss. But that experience is not with awareness. That experience is devoid of awareness in Sushupti or deep sleep. When the same experience is experienced with awareness, it is called Samadhi, and that is possible only when an aspirant consciously tries to evolve himself in spiritual life, either through jnana or bhakti or karma yoga or any of these paths. Now we'll come to the Upanishad proper. I think these ideas are already clear. Now today, after around 8:15, I shall try to answer some of your questions. There was a suggestion, it came in printed form, that after a few classes, I would give you an opportunity to raise questions, and I would try to reply, I would try to clarify your points if I got any doubts after about few minutes. Because we will have no classes for some time. For the next, I shall make the announcement later at the end of this class. Now we will come to the third mantra. That's what we are to dealing with. We are to deal with today. Jagrita sthano bhishprajnaha saptankaha ekona vimshadi mukha sthula bhuk vaishwanaraha prathama padaha. We have explained, I think. This we have already dealt with last time. That is Jagrita sthana, that Turiya or Atman, which is located in the aspirant as a witness within, which experiences external objects, which is oriented towards external things, which has got 7 limbs. All that we have already explained. Those 7 limbs have we already seen. That is its head, eye, breaths, middle part of the body, kidney, feet, and face. At the macro level, that reality, that Virat, the cosmic person, let us say the cosmic person, the absolute reality described as the omnipresent cosmic person who is all-pervading. His head is the effulgent region. Effulgent region, celestial region above the sky. And his eye is the sun. And his breath is the air. And his middle part of the body is ether. And his kidney is water. And his feet is the earth. And his mouth is fire. Now remember, we have not covered the whole of this individual person. Every individual has got these 7 saptanga, 7 limbs. In a symbolic way, 7 limbs of an average individual is taken. And then, what should be these 7 limbs of the cosmic person? Because, as I said last time, macrocosm and microcosm are the same. They are built on the same plan. What is in the cosmic, the micro person, is there in the microcosm and also in the individual. What is in microcosm is there in macrocosm as well. They are both the same. So, in the individual self, in the microcosm, we can find head, eye, breath, middle part of the body, kidney, feet, face, etc. So these 7 limbs, which one can find in any living human being, are explained as parts of the cosmic person in the language, in the proportion of the entire cosmic phenomena. So the celestial region is the head, the air is the breath, and sun is the eye, and so on. Now again, it's called Saptang Ekona Vimshadi Mukha. That at the micro level, the individual level, every living being has got 19 mouths. Mouth, the word mouth is used in a technical symbolic way, because it is through mouth that we eat food and enjoy food. Here is Sthula Bhuk, it is stated, that one which experiences external things, external gross objects. Sthula means gross. So the external gross objects are enjoyed by this, at the micro level, by this individual person through 19 parts. 19 parts are explained. Already we have explained 5 senses of perception, 5 senses of action, then 5 elements, then mana, buddhi, chitta and ahankara. We already explained all this. Sthula Bhuk, Vaishwanara. I said at the macro level is called Vaishwanara. Prathama Padaka is the first quarter of this Atman Turiya. First quarter we have to understand, it's my first, maybe first foot or first limb or first quarter. It may be explained many translations. The idea should be understood. It is called Prathama Pada, first one, because it is related to waking state. And our first experience level is waking state. Dream is based on waking state experiences. And both vanish and get submerged in Sushupti. Later, the Upanishad will tell you Sushupti or deep sleep is the cause, the origin of both waking and state and dream experiences. The Upanishad will tell you later. Because what happens, whatever we experience in waking state and dream state get dissolved in Sushupti. In Sushupti there is no duality. Any experience of duality will create anxiety and other problems. So all the experiences of duality get completely submerged in deep sleep state. And again, they re-emerge from deep sleep state. In deep sleep, there is ignorance of everything. In waking and dream state, there is not only ignorance, but there is also the problem of mistaking one for the other. In dream and waking state, we are not able to understand our real Swarupa. So we experience name and form, this empirical phenomena, and we think they are real because the reality is covered, concealed. And not only concealed, there is not only concealment, there is also superimposition of duality. So in dream and waking state, our Swarupa is concealed, it is veiled. And not only that, something else is projected. You are not only not able to see the rope, but you see the snake in place of rope in dream and waking state. In deep sleep, we don't see anything. We don't see either snake or rope because there is pitch darkness. That's what the Upanishad is going to explain when it explains the Sushupti state, the Prajna stage. In Sanskrit, it's called Agrahanam and Anyatha Grahanam. Agrahanam means absence of perception. Anyatha Grahana means perception or recognition of something else in place of the reality. So in waking and dream state, we experience everything other than ourself. We are convinced that world alone is real. That's our normal understanding of any man living at the level of ignorance. World is real. We don't see Brahman, that is true. Agrahanam is there, and along with that, we also see the world in place of Brahman. So anyatha grahana means perceiving, cognizing something else in place of the real. But in deep sleep state or sushupti state, there is no perception of something in place of the reality. There is only the absence of perception of the supreme reality. There is only concealment. There is only avarana, not viksheba. That is the Sanskrit language. Viksheba means projecting something else in place of the real. Avarana means complete concealment of the reality. So, the Upanishad will explain later that Sushupti state is actually the causal form. That we will explain when that particular mantra is dealt with. So, Sthula Bhuk Vaishwanaraka Prathama Padaka. Now, next mantra. It deals with the Taijasa or the experiencer in dream state. Swapnasthano antaprajñaha saptankaka ekona vimsadimukha praviviktabhuk taijaso ditiya padaka. Now, there is a lot of similarity between the experiencer in waking state and the experiencer in dream state. See, the only difference is Jagridasthano Bahishprajñaha. In Jagrid state, our prajna is outside. Our sphere of activity is outside. But in Swapna state, that is second quarter, that is called Taijasa, sphere of activity is internal. And the experiencer in dream state is conscious of only internal objects. All the indriyas are present in Swapna state also, as I said earlier. Saptanga, 7 limbs we already explained in the third mantra. They are also present for the dreamer, because if you ask the dreamer will tell you the dream reality is as real for the dreamer as the waking state reality is real for the one in waking state. We understand that it is only dream object only when we return from dream state to waking state. We think of dream objects as subtle as the repetition of waking experiences only when we look at them from waking state. For the dreamer, dream objects are as real as waking state experiences are real for the one in waking state. This is a very important point. So the dreamer will see things. All these 5 senses of perception, eyes, ears, etc., 5 senses of action, 5 elements, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, mind, intellect, storehouse of impressions, and also identification. All these things exist in dream also. There is no difference about it. For the dreamer, dream objects are as real as waking state experiences are real for the one living in waking state. That's why, see, Swapnasthano antaprajñaha, saptangaka, head, face, all these exist in dream state also. Ekona vimsadimukha, we already explained 5 senses of perception, 5 senses of action, 5 elements, etc. All these exist in dream also. Only difference is internal. The eyes are closed, we are sleeping in a room which is pitch dark, in pitch darkness. Still we see, we hear. There is silence everywhere. Still we can see with our eyes. We can see, we can hear with our ears. And we can smell and we can taste food in dream. All these things are taking place. So everything is the same. The only difference is pravivikta bhuk, means it is at the subtle level. because external senses are absent. Rather, external senses are absent only in an internal way. External senses are absent in external way, but they are present in an internal way, in an internal level, in dream state. We see in dream state, you will be walking through San Francisco streets in dream, with eyes open. But your eyes are closed, you are dreaming in a dark room. So you are seeing an internal way. That's why it's called antaprajñaha. Swapnasthano antaprajñaha. Saptankaha ekona vimshadimukha. Pravivikta bhuk. Everything is projected by the mind. Pravivikta means manakalpitam, that which is imagined, projected by mind. Because you have experienced all this, you have walked through San Francisco in the middle of the day with eyes open, and you are walking through the same street when you are dreaming with eyes closed. But you are seeing it. Why? Because mind has registered the impression of walking experience during waking states, and that mind is projecting the same experience. And then you experience it in the internal way. That's the only difference. So, Taijasaha, Ditiya Padaha. Taijasaha means, Teja means something light. The light means that which reveals. Light here need not necessarily mean the light, the sunlight or electric light. It means something which reveals. Everything is revealed through the impressions projected forward by the mind, by the chittam. Chittam has already stored up memories gathered in waking state, and now in dream they are projecting to the surface. So we re-experience, we relive all those experiences. Ditiya Pada, this is the second path. So first waking state, first quarter, second quarter is dream state. Now we have a few minutes, 15 minutes perhaps. If you have got any doubt, we can ask. In fact, there was a long letter from one of our friends here who wanted me to answer some of your questions which you may like to put forward. If there is anything to be discussed, we'll do. Otherwise, I shall continue the classes as usual. Yes.
You said that our first level of experience is in the waking state.
Excuse me once more.
You said our first level of
yes.
experience is the waking state. Does that mean that the waking state is closer to realization, to God realization, than the dream state or the deep sleep state?
Yes. In fact, in waking state is the first from an analysis point of view. In fact, the Upanishad will tell you the source, the cause of both waking and dream state are deep sleep state. I shall here explain this, though the subject will come later, but I shall explain this at this point. In deep sleep state, there is only absence of true knowledge. Absence of true knowledge. There is no projection of false objects. Because in deep sleep, in Sushupti, we don't see anything, we don't experience anything. We experience bliss, but we are not aware of it while experiencing. We become aware of it when we come back to waking state. So, in deep sleep state, there is only absence of knowledge, not projection of false objects. There is only avarana, not viksheba in Sanskrit technical language. In dream and waking state, there is concealment, that is absence of the reality, but also projection of wrong objects. In dream and waking state, we are not able to experience our real Swarupa, real true nature, but also in its place we see all the manifold objects and we think they are real. So there is not only concealment, but there is also projection. I hope it's true, it's clear. Now, what is the cause of projection? Why do you see the snake? Because you don't see the rope. Projection is caused by concealment. You are not able to see the rope as rope and you think it is snake because you are not able to see the rope. If you are able to see the rope, you won't see the snake. So what is the cause of anyatha grahanam or superimposition or projection of wrong objects? The cause of projection of wrong objects is concealment of the real objects. So concealment of the real object is a causal form, is a cause. I hope it's clear. Is the source. Because without concealment of the real object, there cannot be projection of the wrong object. The rope is hidden from you because there is not enough light. So you think it is snake. So concealment of the rope is the cause for seeing snake. Now, concealment or absence of knowledge of a real nature is the cause of projection of wrong objects. In dream and also in waking state, there is not only concealment, but there is also projection of wrong objects. That's very clear. But in sushupti, in deep sleep state, there is only concealment, avarana, not vikshepa. Therefore, deep sleep state is the real cause, the causal form. That's why the Upanishad explains. Deep sleep of sushupti is a causal form. Because there is only agrahanam, absence of knowledge of the reality. There is no projection of wrong objects. Because in deep sleep, you don't see anything. There is complete absence of duality. Not because you transcend duality, but because the instruments with which you experience duality are not active. In the Advaita tradition, all the indriyas, mind, everything get merged in the original ignorance called Mula Vidya. Everything gets merged in Mula Vidya. That is the commentator's description of the reason for this. Why? Because our ability to see, to hear all get completely benumbed in deep sleep or sushupti state. So it's clear now.
There was one point I wanted to ask. But meditation itself happens in the waking state.
Yes.
So you can't realize God in the sleep state or the deep sleep state. You can only realize God in the waking state.
Yes.
Meditation.
Yes.
Could you talk about that?
Yes. In fact, in meditation or when you meditate, when you practice spiritual sadhana in waking state, an ideal aspirant should try to think of the witness of the reality which is present in waking state, in dream state, and also deep sleep state. And then he will realize these states are just they are all illusory. Only the experiencer is the real. Drishya, what you call drishya means experiences together, are unreal because they are changing. They are not the real experiences because though there is similarity, there are differences between both the waking and dream experiences. So where there is change, it cannot be eternally true. So the spiritual aspirant should think of the reality of the witness who is present in waking state, but who is not attached to any of the experiences of waking state, and which is present in dream state, again without any attachment to dream experiences, and who is present in sushupti state as well. This is what Upanishad says. So, as states, the three are equally unreal. And that's how an aspirant proceeds in meditation. When he thinks of the sakshi, or the witness, the experiencer, who is present in all the three stages, then he starts thinking of the reality which is present in all the three stages, but it is not limited by all the three states. It is present in all the three states because it's beyond all the three states. If it is limited by any of the three states, it can be present only in one state. The very fact the reality is present as witness or sakshi in all these three states, Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti states, shows that it is present in all the three states, but also it is beyond all the three states. So it's called Turiya. That's how an aspirant practices. It's called Sakshi Bhava. Sakshi means awareness plus detachment, Audasinyatvam and Bodhrutvam. Complete awareness should be there. Otherwise, without awareness, we have Sushupti state. So Sakshi means the state where when you are completely aware of what is going on. At the same time, you are detached. So these two should combine. That is the real Sakshi experience. Bodhrutvam and Audasinyatvam means perfect awareness and detachment. In Sushupti, we are not aware of it, though we are free from duality. But any experience which without awareness will not have any effect, because unless you know what you know, your knowledge won't make any sense. We should know what we know, then only our knowledge makes sense in ordinary parlance. The same applies here also.
Swamiji, you just explained in this class, in the Taijasa state, that the karmendriyas, jnanendriyas are quiescent externally, but they're active internally. Does the Upanishad give any other explanation for the three-dimensional experience one has in the Taijasa state, other than a memory or an impression formed in the chitta? Is there any other explanation for that three-dimensionality of dream?
Yes, in the Upanishad tells us there are only two factors present in dream experience. One is as Turiya, the Atman is present as Drashta, as experiencer, plus mind. Mind is present because everything is manakalpidam, everything is projected by mind. So mind is present, but indriyas are not present. When indriyas are present, it is called sthula or gross. When indriyas are absent, it is called subtle. Another reason, another criterion for deciding whether it is subtle or gross is when it is panchikrita, it is gross. When it is apanchikrita, it is subtle. That, of course, that will describe that later. Quantification, that subject is a bit elaborate. It needs more time for explaining. Okay. When it is panchikrita, it is gross, sthula. When it is apanchikrita, it is subtle. So in dream, everything is experienced in its apanchikrita state. That means they are not differentiated the way they are differentiated in the panchikrita state, sthula experience. But everything is experienced internally. If there is no more, then I will shall perhaps we have little more time. Any other subject for?
Swamiji, could you repeat those Sanskrit words? Anyatha, is it grahanam?
Oh yes, anyatha grahanam. Grahanam means cognition, understanding, perception. Anyatha means otherwise.
And the other one is?
And agrahanam means absence of grahanam. Absence. When you add I, it becomes the opposite meaning. Means there is complete absence of perception or cognition of our true nature.
Is that equivalent to avarana and vikshepa?
Yes. In fact, agrahana is related to avarana and anyatha grahana is related to vikshepa. Without avarana, without absence of true knowledge, there cannot be false knowledge or false perception. Without absence of correct perception, you cannot have wrong perception. So, any other? Otherwise, we'll continue the subject.
Swami, this is from memory state is truly realizes the state of Brahma or something like that. So what is it?
Once more. Where Mandukya?
In Ramakrishna's commentary.
Who's?
Sarvapalli Radhakrishna.
Yes.
So he says that
Just once more you repeat.
the person who understands and knows truly the waking state realizes the state of Brahma.
Yes.
So it always
Yeah, I know. It's very, very simple. It's very. Anyone who realizes the true nature of any of these three states will realize Brahman. And what is meant by understanding the true nature of Jagrat experience, waking experience? That is, in waking state, the Atman or Turiya, as the witness, experiences all external objects in a gross way, gross external objects. But these objects are in no way related to the experiencer. The experiencer is absolutely unrelated to the experience objects. I mean, drashta alone is the reality. All drishya objects are unreal. Drashta or the witness remains the same in all the three states. So one who realizes that in Jagrat state I am the drashta, I am in no way related to the drishya, the visible objects. They are coming and going. They are only peripheral, transitory objects which come and go. I am the one who is a witness, sakshi, who sees all these objects. Then he also realizes that I am the one who experiences the same objects in a subtle form as in dream, as Taijasa. I am the one who remains the prajna, who enjoys the bliss of deep sleep in Sushupti. All these experiences, all this knowledge are interrelated. That means anyone who realizes the true nature of any of these three states will realize that I am the one, the sakshi, the witness, the ever witness, who is in no way related to the drishyas, means the external objects or internal objects. Vedanta will tell you, if you can explain, if you can understand the true nature or even the most insignificant things that you see nature, you are a knowledge of, you are an over of Brahman. That's the meaning of sarvajñah means. Sarvam here means Brahman. Sarvajñah means, it doesn't mean a man who knows everything in this world. Driving, eating, cooking, swimming, not that way. Sarvam yasmat jatam iti tat sarvam. Means that's which is the source of everything. That is the meaning of sarvam. So if you know, if you know the true nature of anything, even the most insignificant object in this world, then you are sarvajña. In other words, I shall explain this in the light of the well-known analogy, a stock example, the Rajju Sarpa. There is a piece of Rajju in front of you, a piece of rope in front of you. 50 people assembled here have got 50 ideas as to what that object is, because there is not enough light. So 50 or 100 of you, 100 people assembled here may have 100 different ideas as to what that object is. If one of them really understands that his wrong understanding, his was the wrong understanding, or what he really understood was wrong, actually it is something other than what he thought it is, then what will he understand? He will understand his rope only. If you think it is a stick or a snake, and if you get rid of that notion, the wrong notion that it is snake, then what notion will you have? You will have its rope only. So, anyone who actually understands the true nature of world is also a knower of Brahman. But knowing the true nature of the Jagat is not different from knowing the true nature of Brahman. Because the moment you understand Brahma Satyam, then you will understand Jagat Mithya from a philosophical point of view. From an experience point of view, the moment you understand the Brahman is only reality, then you will also understand what you mistook to be Jagat as something independent of Brahman is in fact Brahman only. So, Surupa Drishtya Brahma Eva. That's the idea behind. Nama Rupa Drishtya Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Surupa Drishtya Brahma Satyam Jagat Satyam. That's the idea. So now I have an announcement to make. We will not have class next Friday, May 25, because of the May retreat at Olima. The next class will be on Friday, June 1st. Please remember, there will be no class next Friday, May 25. The next class on Mandukya Upanishad will be on Friday, June the 1st. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhidamastu ma vidvishavahe